5 millennia ago, the Galactic Council obliterated Earth, reducing humanity's cradle to cosmic dust. Scattered like ashes, humans hid in the galaxy's dark corners, asteroid colonies, rogue planets drifting in the void. They became whispers, ghosts, honing their hatred and sharpening their claws. For 5,400 years, they watched, waited, and plotted in the shadows. The Council, smug in their dominance, forgot the tenacity of their victims. Now, the time for waiting is over. Led by the fierce and unyielding Captain Aria Nolan, humanity's vengeance fleet erupts from the darkness, engines roaring with fury. They come not as diplomats, but as avengers. The final reckoning has begun, and the galaxy will burn for the Council's sins. Captain Aria Nolan stood on the bridge of the flagship Revenge, her eyes locked on the desolate remains of Earth visible through the viewport. The sight of her ancestral home, now a lifeless wasteland, fueled her fury and resolve. "Today, we honor our fallen and take our revenge," she declared, her voice slicing through the silence like a blade. Lieutenant Jax Carter approached, his face a mask of grim determination. "The fleet is ready, Captain. Zara's intel pinpoints the Council's weak spots. We need to strike fast and hard." Zara, an alien defector who had suffered under the Council's tyranny, stepped forward. "The outpost at the border is vulnerable. Their defenses are outdated and thin. They won't expect a full-scale assault." Aria nodded, her mind racing with tactical calculations. "We launch in 1 hour. Every second counts." She moved through the bustling armory, the air thick with the scent of oil and metal. Soldiers prepared for battle, their faces a mix of fear and fierce determination. Aria stopped before a young soldier adjusting his helmet. "We fight for those who can't," she said, her voice steady. "We fight to reclaim what was stolen from us." In the strategy room, Jax laid out the plan with a precision born of countless battles. "Our first target is the Council's border outpost. It's strategically vital and lightly defended. We hit them hard and fast, disrupt their supply lines, and push them into chaos." Zara added, "Once we breach their defenses, my team will disable their communication arrays. They'll be blind and vulnerable." Aria's eyes scanned the holographic map, every detail burning into her memory. "This is what we've been waiting for," she said. "We've trained for this moment. We won't get another chance." The hour passed quickly. Aria stood on the bridge once more, her heart pounding with adrenaline. "All ships, prepare for warp," she commanded. The fleet's engines roared to life, the hum of power vibrating through the ship. Jax checked his displays, ensuring everything was in order. Coordinates locked. "Ready on your mark, Captain." Aria took a deep breath, her mind flashing with images of Earth's destruction, the screams of her ancestors echoing in her ears. "Engage." The fleet surged forward, stars streaking past as they hurtled through space. The Council's border outpost came into view, its defenses pitiful against the might of humanity's vengeance. "All ships, engage." Aria's voice rang out. The void exploded with light as the fleet opened fire, missiles and lasers ripping through the outpost's defenses. Aria watched the battle unfold, her eyes never leaving the viewport. "We will not be stopped," she muttered, a promise to herself and to the ghosts of Earth. On the ground, Zara led her strike team through the chaos, their movements swift and deadly. "Stay sharp," she ordered. They fought through the enemy lines, each step a testament to their training and resolve. The human fleet emerged from the darkness of space, their ships sleek and deadly against the backdrop of stars. The Council's border outpost loomed ahead, its defenses pitifully unprepared for the onslaught about to descend upon them. Captain Aria Nolan stood on the bridge of the Revenge, her gaze steady and unyielding. "All ships, engage," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Explosions erupted as the fleet launched their attack. Missiles streaked through the void, leaving trails of fire in their wake, while laser beams sliced through the enemy's shields. The Council's outpost trembled under the relentless barrage, its defenses crumbling. Aria watched the battle unfold, her heart pounding with adrenaline. "We will not be stopped," she vowed, her voice barely a whisper. She turned to Lieutenant Jax Carter, who was coordinating the fleet's maneuvers with surgical precision. "Focus fire on their turrets," Jax ordered. "We need to break through." The Revenge shook as enemy fire struck its hull, but the ship held steady. Aria's crew moved with practiced efficiency, their movements a seamless dance of war. The bridge buzzed with activity, each officer focused on their task. On the surface of the outpost, chaos reigned. Zara led her strike team through the smoke and debris, her eyes sharp and unwavering. "Stay sharp," she ordered. Her team moved like shadows, their weapons cutting through the enemy with deadly precision. They fought their way to the heart of the outpost, determined to cripple the Council's defenses from within. Zara's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, we're in position, preparing to disable their communication arrays." "Good work," Aria replied. "Stay safe out there." The battle raged on, each explosion a testament to humanity's fury. The Council's forces fought back with desperation, but they were no match for the human fleet. Ships exploded in blinding flashes of light, debris scattering through space. Aria's eyes never left the viewport. "Jax, status report." Jax's fingers flew over the controls. "We've breached their outer defenses. Ground forces are making progress. Zara's team is on track." "Keep pushing," Aria urged. "We can't let up now." On the ground, Zara's team reached the communication arrays. "Set the charges," she commanded. Her team moved quickly, planting explosives with practiced ease. The arrays crackled and sparked as the charges detonated, plunging the outpost into chaos. "Communications are down," Zara reported. "They're blind and vulnerable." Aria allowed herself a small smile. "Excellent. Begin extraction." As the dust settled, the outpost lay in ruins, a testament to human tenacity. Aria surveyed the battlefield, her heart heavy with the weight of victory. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, fierce determination in her eyes. The fleet regrouped, the ships forming up in tight formation. Aria stood tall on the bridge, her mind already on the next target. "Prepare for warp," she ordered. The engines hummed to life, the ships readying for the next phase of their mission. "Coordinates locked," Jax confirmed. "Ready on your mark, Captain." The aftermath of battle left a somber pall over the Revenge. The medical bay was filled with the wounded, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and the low hum of machinery. Captain Aria Nolan walked among the injured, her heart heavy with the cost of their victory. She paused beside a young soldier, his leg heavily bandaged, pain etched across his face. "We fought well," Aria said, gripping his hand. "Your bravery won us this battle." The soldier nodded, tears brimming in his eyes. "Thank you, Captain." Lieutenant Jax Carter approached, his expression grim. "We lost good people today, Aria." The price was steep. Aria sighed, her resolve hardening. "We need to make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain." In the War Council room, tensions simmered. The officers gathered around the holographic table, the air heavy with unspoken fears. "The Council will be ready for us now," one officer warned. "We're walking into a trap." Aria's eyes flashed with determination. "We've been in a trap for 5,400 years. Now we're springing it." She turned to Jax. "What's our next move?" Jax projected a new map, highlighting the Council's supply lines. "We target their logistics. Starve them out, make them desperate. It's risky, but it could cripple their operations." Zara, seated at the table, leaned forward. Desperate enemies are dangerous. We need to be cautious. Aria nodded, acknowledging the risk. We strike at dawn. We've come too far to turn back now. As the officers dispersed, Jax lingered. Aria, are you sure about this? We can't afford another heavy loss. Aria met his gaze, her voice steady. I know the risks, Jax. But hesitation will only cost us more. We have to push forward. Alone in her quarters, Aria allowed herself a moment of vulnerability. She stared at a faded photograph of Earth, a reminder of all they had lost. Her thoughts drifted to the fallen, to the sacrifices made. She closed her eyes, drawing strength from their memory. We'll make it right, she whispered. The next morning, the fleet was abuzz with activity. Soldiers prepared for the next assault, their movements precise and efficient. Aria walked through the corridors, her presence a steadying force. Remember why we fight, she said, her voice carrying over the clamor. For Earth, for our future. Jax joined her on the bridge, the tension palpable. All ships ready for warp, he announced. Aria took her place at the helm, her resolve unshakable. Engage. The fleet surged forward, hurtling through space towards their next target. The journey was brief, the enemy's supply lines soon within striking distance. Aria's heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. All ships prepared to engage. The battle erupted with brutal intensity. The Council's forces, caught off guard, scrambled to mount a defense. Explosions lit up the void, the clash of metal and fire, a symphony of war. Aria directed the assault, her commands sharp and precise. Focus on their transports. Cut off their supplies. On the ground, Zara's team moved with lethal efficiency, disrupting the enemy's logistics. Plant the charges, she ordered, her voice unwavering. The charges detonated, chaos engulfing the enemy's ranks. Their supply lines are down, Zara reported. They're crippled. Aria allowed herself a moment of triumph. Excellent. Begin extraction. As the dust settled, the fleet regrouped. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Aria stood on the bridge, her resolve as strong as ever. We've struck a blow, she said. But we have a long way to go. Jax nodded, his eyes reflecting the shared determination. One battle at a time. The human fleet cut through the darkness of space, a relentless force moving toward the heart of the Galactic Council's power. Captain Aria Nolan stood at the helm of the Revenge, her gaze fixed on the looming enemy planet. This is it, she said, her voice steady. The final push. Lieutenant Jax Carter stood beside her, his fingers dancing over the control panels. Their defenses are formidable, but we faced worse, he assured her. We'll find a way through. Aria nodded, her mind racing with tactical calculations. Zara, are you ready? She asked, turning to the alien defector. Zara's eyes were sharp and focused. My team is prepped. We infiltrate, disrupt, and destroy. No mercy. The fleet drew closer, the enemy's capital planet coming into clear view. The Council's defenses bristled with weaponry, ready to repel any attackers. Aria took a deep breath. All ships, prepare for combat. This is our moment. The first wave of attacks hit with brutal force. Explosions erupted across the enemy's defenses, the human fleet cutting through like a blade. Aria's commands were crisp and decisive. Target their primary turrets. We need to create an opening for our ground forces. The Revenge shook as enemy fire struck its hull, but the ship held steady. Jax coordinated the fleet's maneuvers, directing fire with precision. We've breached their outer defenses. Ground forces, prepare to land. On the surface, chaos reigned. Aria led the charge, her soldiers rallying around her. For Earth, she shouted, her voice cutting through the cacophony of battle. They fought through waves of alien defenders, Each step forward, a hard-won victory. Zara's team moved with deadly efficiency, planting charges and sowing chaos behind enemy lines. "Keep moving," she urged, her voice steady despite the turmoil. "We're almost there." Jax's voice crackled over the comms. "Aria, we've got a clear path to the Council's headquarters. Push forward." Aria's eyes blazed with determination. "You heard him. Move out." The fighting intensified as they approached the Council's stronghold. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of burning metal. Aria's heart pounded with adrenaline, every sense heightened by the danger surrounding them. They burst into the Council's main chamber, the imposing structure filled with enemy soldiers. General Kryal stood at the center, his expression one of cold contempt. "You've come far," he sneered, "but this is where it ends." Aria stepped forward, her gaze locked on Kryal. "This ends when we say it does." The room erupted into chaos as the battle raged. Aria's soldiers clashed with the Council's defenders, the sound of weapons and shouts echoing off the walls. Aria fought her way towards Kryal, her determination unwavering. Their eyes met, and Kryal's sneer turned into a snarl. "You think you can defeat us? We are eternal." Aria's lips curled into a fierce smile. "Not anymore." She lunged, her blade clashing with Kryal's in a flurry of sparks and steel. The duel was brutal, each strike fueled by centuries of hatred. With a final, desperate lunge, Aria drove her blade through Kryal's chest. He staggered, his eyes wide with shock, before collapsing to the ground. Silence fell over the chamber, the battle abruptly ending with his death. Aria stood over Kryal's body, her chest heaving. "It's over," she said, her voice barely a whisper. The Council's forces, leaderless and demoralized, began to surrender. The human flag was raised over the stronghold, a symbol of their hard-won victory. Aria stood among her soldiers, the weight of their triumph settling over her. "We did it," Jack said, joining her. His face was a mix of exhaustion and relief. The shattered remnants of the Council's defenses smoldered as Captain Aria Nolan led her team into the heart of the enemy stronghold. The corridors were dimly lit, the scent of burnt metal and ozone heavy in the air. Her every step echoed, a grim reminder of the cost they had paid to reach this point. "Stay alert," Aria ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We're not done yet." Her team moved with practiced precision, weapons at the ready. They knew the risks, but their resolve was unshakable. Lieutenant Jax Carter took point, his keen eyes scanning for any sign of an ambush. Suddenly, they burst into the main chamber, a vast hall filled with the Council's elite guards. At the center stood General Kryal, a towering figure with eyes cold as ice. He turned, a sneer curling his lips. "You've come far, Captain Nolan," he taunted, "but this is where your journey ends." Aria stepped forward, her gaze locked on Kryal. "This ends when we say it does." The chamber erupted into chaos as both sides clashed. Blaster fire crisscrossed the room, the sharp sounds of combat echoing off the walls. Aria fought her way through the melee, her every move precise and deadly. She could see Kryal at the far end, directing his forces with ruthless efficiency. "Cover me," Aria shouted to Jax, who nodded and laid down suppressive fire. Aria charged forward, her blade drawn. She met Kryal in the center of the chamber, their weapons clashing in a shower of sparks. "You think you can defeat us?" Kryal snarled, his strength pushing Aria back. "We are eternal." Aria gritted her teeth, pushing back with all her might. "Not anymore." She swung her blade with a ferocity born of centuries of pent-up rage, driving Kryal back step by step. Around them, the battle raged on. Zara and her team planted charges on critical systems, disrupting the stronghold's defenses. "Captain, we need to move fast." Zara's voice crackled over the comms. "Understood," Aria replied, her eyes never leaving Krell's. Krell roared, lunging at Aria with renewed fury. She ducked and rolled, coming up behind him with a swift strike to his side. He bellowed in pain, but Aria didn't relent. She pressed the attack, her movements a blur of speed and precision. With a final, desperate effort, Aria drove her blade through Krell's chest. He staggered, disbelief etched on his face. "Impossible," he gasped, before collapsing to the ground. Aria stood over him, her chest heaving. "It's over," she said, her voice barely a whisper.